Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering my most humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Lord and Master, Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. At the outset, let me express my deepest gratitude to all my brothers from the Central Council of Malaysia for having invited Kamla and I at this very unique function. Respected Brother Jega, we had heard Swami call Indulal Shah the Bhishma Pitama of the All India organization. But for every major there must be a mini, and therefore I have no hesitation to say the mini Bhishma Pitama of Malaysia. I think instead of advisor I should call him the mini Bhishma Pitama of the Malaysian conference, and I think I need to say that today on this stage. I say this because truth must be accepted. I say this because virtue must be credited and instrumentality of the divine must be accepted and respected. I've seen Brother Jega for many years, and the childlike enthusiasm that he has exhibited is an example for every young and old of the world. Every young and old who profess great devotion to Bhagwan have a thing to learn from Jaga, and that is the spirit of being childlike. The spirit of being excited, happy, energized and blissful every moment of life. And I think that's where the secret lies. Jaga, thank you very much for being a part of our lives and being a part of our inspiration model. And may God give you all the strength to keep on traveling all over the world independently, irrespective of any rule, law, observations or any organizations that can stop you at any point of time. Brother Suresh, in the glory and in the hallmark of your senior Jaga, I see an equally great personality in you, and I must recognize the fact that I think Suresh, Billy, all of you have carried Malaysia in a big way. And I'd like to reiterate what Billy said, that if outside of India, if there is any country that has taken the Sai mission to a level of great awareness and source and benefit to society, it must be Malaysia and nobody else. And I say this not because I want to praise you guys because you invited me here, but I have traveled like Jaga into many countries and many places, and I do believe that the kind of dimension to Swami's work that you guys have given is amazing and truly the essence which Swami would be very happy with your work, and I sincerely believe that. To all my sisters sitting there, when my young brother introduced me as very subjugated to my wife, I said this on purpose because the Sathya Sai Seva organization in the world, and I quote unquote Bhagwan himself when I was sitting with him, he says, my organization all over the world, if it is prospering and will prosper, it is only because of the sisters in the Sai organization and not because of the gents in the Sai organization. I pay my respect to each one of you. It is your dedication, your love for Bhagwan, your sincerity, and especially all of you who are involved in the education program, whether it is SSEHV or Bal Vikas, you are the chosen ones that Bhagwan loves, and Bhagwan has accepted this fact. So I say this repeatedly, that I'm not subjugated to my wife because she's my wife, but because she's my colleague in the Sai organization, and I do sincerely believe that this is the story that we must accept. I say this out of experience also, because in my entire 3 decades of interaction with Bhagwan, every time, all the conversation that Bhagwan had with me was only because of my wife. Because the only thing he spoke to me about was my wife. In the Mahabharata, there's a story where Bhishma Pitama, lying on the bed of arrows, the last few breaths of his life, was asked a question, Pitama, what is the one thing that you'd like to tell the world? And he says, never ever take a vow for anything in life. Because of the vow which I took of obedience to Hastinapur, the whole Mahabharata war came up. In a very small way, this happened to me in Kamla. Many years ago, Kamla being very sensitive and totally emotional with Bhagwan's reaction and interaction, was in front of Bhagwan one day and she told Bhagwan, Bhagwan promised me one thing. In a very emotional moment, the Lord and Master also fell for the trap and said, what do you want? He said, promise me one thing, that whenever I come to Puttaparthi and whenever I am sitting in the darshan line, please don't avoid me, because Bhagwan used to hop, skip and jump and avoid people wherever he used to lie. He said, you must recognize my presence and you must talk to me every time I come to Puttaparthi. And even God can make a mistake. He said, yes, don't worry, I will do that. But now keeping our promise is very difficult. It's not easy even for the Lord and Master himself. So every time he went to Puttaparthi, and he would go around with Kamla, and suppose by mistake he missed it, he would be so much concerned that he would come on the other side of the giant side and tell me, look, please tell your wife I saw her, I didn't miss her this time. So Shakti, as Brother Jaga always talks about, is an amazing power, and we must accept the situation. Why I say this in reference to is another story of the Tripura Rahasya. To know the magnitude and the grandeur of Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba, I read an amazing thing in Radio Sai, one of the articles, and that opened my eyes and brought me back to an incident in life which I must recollect again. It was Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, the Trinity, all-powerful Trinity. That is the maximum that mankind can ever imagine. They had a doubt of who is their boss, because somebody created all three of them. So they went, and Tripura, Mata Tripura, was the Shakti Swarupa, and they went and asked her, Mata, who is our boss? And Tripura, the treatise of Tripura says that Mata said to Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, even I don't know, I have to find out. And I'll take you to a place where we can know the answer. Now imagine, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, the masters of the entire cosmos that you and I understand. They have a boss in Mataji, that is the Tripura Mata. Now she says, no, there is a power ahead of me. Now, so Mata takes Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh together, goes to a particular place, opens the doors out. And there, if you imagine the pictures of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh all sit on a throne. And Tripura Mata also sits on a magnificent throne. So they are the ultimate kings and the power. Tripura Mata takes all the three of them to a door and throws it open. And as she throws it open, what do Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh see? Thousands of similar thrones, where each throne, the four legs are Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and Mata Tripura are the four legs of each throne. And there are thousands of thrones like that which they see in the open door. At the far end, as the gaze goes deeper and deeper, deeper inside, the ultimate boss of all these thrones, there at the end is Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba, sitting at the end, all-powerful, controlling Brahmans and cosmos after cosmos after cosmos. Imagine what a power this is. And that power, one day decides that wants to descend upon earth and come for whom? For you and me. At a level which you and I can understand on a day-to-day basis. If you perceive this grandeur of Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba, hair will stand on end to realize what has happened in the 80 years that went by. The Lord God came himself, the Master of Masters came himself, to tell us what? Three things. And three fundamental things which must permeate in day-to-day life. First, that not only He is that all-powerful God, but you and I are also the same powerful God that He says. Imagine what a journey we still have to cover. Second, the address of God which never knew, telling us that He resides inside our heart and not outside. And thirdly, reminding us that the same God that resides in us remains in everywhere else. Now you will tell me, why should I stand on this stage and tell you this what you already know? My reason for reiterating this, brothers and sisters, is that saying this on the stage is one thing. Reading it in a book is another thing. Singing it in a song is the third thing. Or viewing it on a video when Bhagwan says this and clapping is the fourth thing. But the real test lies in every breath of life, every day that you and I live, whether these four dimensions are integral part of our life or not. The homework begins now. The workshops begin now. To ask this question tonight, that when I get up in the morning and stand in front of the mirror, do I have the guts to say that, no, I am the reflection of Sai and I live the day like Sai? Question one. Not many can pass this test. The second test, God repeated and reiterated all times that I reside in your heart. How many of us really believe 24/7 that Swami resides in our heart is the second test. And third, the same Swami resides in every heart, everyone. How many of us really can gather guts to say that 24/7 every breath of my life, I'm willing to see Swami in every heart? If you start believing this, every husband will see God in his wife, and every wife will see God in her husband. But this doesn't happen, brothers and sisters, ever in day-to-day life. Every boss will see God in his employee, every employee will see God in his boss, but this doesn't happen every day in life. It doesn't even happen in a Sai organization. Within our own selves, we are not able to see God in each other. And that's where the tough questions come. And therefore I'm happy that the Malaysian convention is a convention of workshops and not of a talk like mine, which is going to get over as soon as I can finish, because I know talking is very easy. Believe me, several opportunities that I got of speaking in front of Bhagwan. Every time I thought I spoke very well, and every time I thought I spoke brilliantly. The audience also thought so many times, and many times I got congratulated. But as tradition goes, every time that you finish a talk in front of Bhagwan, you bow down and take his grace when the talk gets over. In front of thousands of people, people are clapping, and as you bow down on the lotus feet of Bhagwan to touch his grace and receive his blessings, when he's smiling to the world, Bhagwan is smiling, but he puts his hand on my head, and 99 times he told me only one thing: you're only talking, but you're not practicing. You're only talking, but you're not practicing. Is a blessing that I got 99 times that I poured for Bhagwan. It's not easy, brothers and sisters. The path that this convention is willing to set right today is a tough path. It is tough if you believe that you are trying. It's easy if you believe that you can surrender and accept the situation. If you make an attempt, it is tough. If you give up, it's easy. Since I am to be relating this in terms of the background and experiences, I must share this first thing. Being a rational person from a legal family and a legal fraternity, and I met Bhagwan for the first time, the first thing that Bhagwan told me was a very beautiful thing. He said, I don't want you to plan anything in your life. I have planned everything for you. Just watch what is happening. I was a young man then. I didn't understand the importance of this statement which Bhagwan made. I thought life is going to be easy. Thank God, nothing to be done. Let God do everything that He wants. I have to sit back and enjoy. It's an amazing statement that Bhagwan made. And now, in hindsight, 30 years back down the line, I do realize this is not a message for me. He said this to everyone, that there is one dimension of divinity which says everything is done, just watch and unfold and become a witness. But the tough part is that after having said this, he also says that make your effort, free will is yours, and go ahead and do it. And that's where the whole challenge to spirituality arises. On the one hand, the Lord and Master says, I've done everything, just watch the unfoldment. It's all done. Like Krishna told Arjuna, what are you going to kill these people? They're already dead. But still, Arjuna has to get up, pull up his bow, and act as if he's killing everybody else, and still believe that he has not done, and he has to do this. My young brother who started the convention beautifully said and related the power failure to what a situation that he explained. I think he was saying the greatest truth that this convention can ever do. In fact, his opening statements are the summum bonum of the entire convention that you can take part in. The same story of Triple Rahasya also has a great message, and that is the message that my young friend gave. The treaty says that the greatest and the only hindrance between man and God, between man becoming God and reaching the divine lotus feet, is this one hurdle of the sense of doership that mankind has. And I say this again because we know the theory, but practice is the problem. To say that the sense of doership, to give up the sense of doership, is the most difficult thing. Right now in our own organization, it's beautifully explained. I did this, I did this, I did, and bang, the light goes off, without realizing that nothing that you did, it was all Swami is doing. A friend of mine, Shankar from California, once challenged me because I had this great ego that I'm a great dramatist. He came to India and sitting on the portico of a darshan, Shankar comes and tells me, Nimish, you think you're a great artist and a great, let me give you a tough subject for doing a drama in front of Bhagwan. And the drama which he suggested was the treatise of Tripura Rahasya, the story of the ultimate Shakti. So I took up the challenge and told him, don't worry, next year when you come in July, this is the drama I'm doing before Bhagwan. I went back to Mumbai. I had a whole batch of 200 children. They all got trained. They read the simpler version of the book. Mind you, every child understood the essence of Tripura Rahasya. Every child knew that whatever is happening because God is doing it, not me. And I am the leader, I am the teacher. The whole drama gets performed before Bhagwan, and when the scene which I mentioned to you, it was mentioned to Bhagwan, that Bhagwan, ultimately you are the master. Bhagwan was full of thrill, he was blissful. His smile was from one end of the portico to the other end of the portico, and he was so happy that he went down 10 to 12 times amongst the children, asked children the question, and every child answered every question that Bhagwan said. And then Bhagwan came on the portico, sat down, the bhajans began. And in front of that august audience, as Bhagwan sat for bhajans, Bhagwan summoned me to sit next to him near the chair. I sat next to the chair, full of happiness and joy, a lot of mixture of ego in it, because such an august audience in front of you, Bhagwan is calling you to sit next to him, you are sitting there, everybody is watching you, and you are feeling happy about the fact. The bhajan started, Swami sat there, and after 2 minutes, Swami turned down where I was sitting, and he says, in Hindi he said, I'll explain in English also, he says, "Bahut acha drama, very good drama." And he was smiling, and I looked up at Swami, very smiling, yes Swami, very good. After 2 minutes again, Swami turned on, very good drama, very good drama. So again I said, Swami, very good, thank you very much. This happened 6 times. Every 2 minutes, Swami, very good drama. I said, Swami. On the 7th time, Swami turned back and said, very good drama, who did it? And I said, Swami, all of us from Bombay, all my Bhavikas Gurus did it. Achha, very good, very good. Again after 30 seconds, Swami turned, very good drama, who did it? Again I turned out and said, Swami, all of us from Bombay, Bhavikas, children from Bombay are doing this drama, Swami. Oh, very good, very good. Now see, the patience of that Lord and Master. 3rd time he asked me, very good drama, Bangaru, who did it? Again I am saying, Swami, all of us from Bombay, Bhavikas, children, Maharashtra, Goa, all did nice drama. 3rd part, 4th time again he asked me, yo, what essence, beautiful story. Swami is very happy. Who did it? And again I said, Swami, all of us, and then I realized something is wrong. This question is getting, the rhetoric is coming, there is something wrong. But my mouth opened and I said, Swami, all of us from Maharashtra did it. Even without waiting for the aarti, without waiting for anything, Swami signaled to the boy and asked the chair to be turned, because by that time the Lord and Master was thoroughly disgusted with his student. He turned the chair and went off and started entering the car where his chair was to be turned. At that flash moment, brothers and sisters, I realized what a fool I am. 4 times he asked me, and my mouth could not open to tell Bhagwan that, Bhagwan, you did it because you are the doer. The sense of doership was so deep inside the system that I could not tell Bhagwan that you did it. I ran to Bhagwan's chair, caught his feet, I said, no Swami, you did it. Swami, you did it. Swami, you did it. But the moment had gone. And that moment had gone, and luckily for me, Indulal Shah was sitting there. Swami, he stopped Swami. Yes, Swami, now he has learned the lesson that doership is to be surrendered to the Master, and not for a moment you are supposed to stake claim on anything that you do in the world of Sai and day-to-day life. Brothers and sisters, why did this happen? knowledge was there. Everything was there. But what was not there was practice, day-to-day practice was not there in terms of doing what we are doing. And that's where I think the story of each side devotee begins. Fundamentally, I want to make one statement today. I don't think there's anything like a Sai devotee in this world. Because if Lord permeates every cosmos, every atom, every bit, who's a Sai devotee? Everyone is a part of Sai and therefore is devoted to the spirit of Sai. And this largeness, this enlargement of vision is very important. Vision is very important because in practice, Swami engulfs everything. I remember the year 1981-82, the scene was Dharmakshetra, and there were 4,000 children sitting on the lawns of Dharmakshetra when Bhagwan came there. Kamala and I were in charge of the program, and as the program ended, there were many dignitaries of the state of India there present in the morning. The ministers, the leading industrialists, all were there present. In front of all of them, Bhagwan summoned me and asked me a very innocuous question. He says, come here, how many children do you have? I just got married those days, just 2 years in marriage, and I thought that Swami knew that I didn't have children, and why would Swami ask such an innocuous question in front of so many dignitaries? So I said, Swami, you know I don't have children. He said, no, tell me how many children you have. So again I repeated, Swami, you know I don't have children. He persisted 7 to 8 times in front of so many dignitaries and asking me a question, tell me how many children you have. Brothers and sisters, when I made a fool of myself 7 to 8 times, at the 9th time Bhagwan turned round and pointed to all those 3,500 children sitting there and said, are these 3,500 children not your children? And that is the expansion that Bhagwan wanted us to learn of engulfing. That if you're in charge of Bal Vikas, it is not my class and your class. Every child in Malaysia, whether he is a Bal Vikas student or not, every child in Malaysia is the adopted child of every sister in the Sai organization of Malaysia. It's a vision that must be had there. And that's how we were. In the evening, he caught me on the stage down again because I had the duty to open the curtain before Bhagwan goes in the public. So moment Swami came down, again he asked me not to open the curtain and stood in conversation with me and asked me, how many children do you have? I said, Swami, 3,500 children. How many out of them are yours? I said, Swami, all 3,500 are mine. Again, tell me how many children? 3,500. Like a kindergarten teacher teaching a child is what Swami did to us for 85 years, teaching us step by step, slowly, steadily. But learning is important. What Brother Biniform mentioned and what Ganesh mentioned, that this convention is going to be a convention of great learning. Let us understand that we do not know anything today. Let us understand that the essence is practicing Swami's philosophy in day-to-day life, and it must manifest. It has to manifest, it cannot go. Bhagwan is the only friend. How did I learn this lesson? It's an amazing saga which I must share with you. Because friendship with God is very important. For everyone, apart from our interpersonal relationships, the only friendship that we must maintain is the friendship with God. And this I learned the very tough way. As a young man, I had a lot of friends in Mumbai. As a part of a very elite college in Mumbai called the St. Xavier's College, Mumbai, which was home to many great superstars of the Indian film industry. And they were all my colleagues those days. Whether it's Kavita Krishnamurthy, Pankaj Udhas, Farooq Sheikh, so many actors who were there by the time, and that's why my whole story of becoming an actor, which Brother mentioned, was there, which I'll come a little later. Of how God fulfills every wish of yours if you surrender to Him is the third dimension I'm going to share with you. But here was the story, that I have so many friends, and then one day when I landed in front of the physical form of Bhagwan, straight away Bhagwan asked me and listed as many as 7 to 80% of my friends by name, which only I knew and God would never know. And he told, how many friends? So many friends. There is money in the pocket, there is friends. No money, no friends. Leave all of them. Brothers and sisters, I left all friends. And Swami told me that time, there's only one friend and he's God, and he tapped his chest. So I said, very good. Because by that time I was enamored by this friend called Sathya Sai Baba. So I left all the friends whom I knew all these years and started believing that this physical form is my great friend. This love affair of friendship started and continued for 2 to 3 years. At the end of the 3rd year, brothers and sisters, Swami stopped talking to me and I realized what a fool I am. I left 100 friends for this man and this man is now ditched me. He doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And I don't understand what's wrong. I never did anything wrong. Why would he stop talking to me? At least friends you can argue and talk. Here you could not argue because he won't even look at you. He would ignore you in such a way as if you don't exist. He sees through you as if you're not there at all. 3 years thereafter, 4 years thereafter, I was sincerely involved in the Bhagavad movement, and those were the years when the first EHV training started in India and for the first fundamental courses were started. Brothers and sisters, it is then that I realized that Swami wanted to teach me. Swami wanted to teach me that when he tapped his chest and said there's the one friend and he's God, it was not the physical form. He was trying to tell me that God is inside you and you get to know the friend inside you and not outside. And this he reiterated by another massive reprimand. He wouldn't even let me go to the temples. I remember once I left Prashanti Nilayam, when he did this to me and I left Prashanti Nilayam, and Sri Indra Shah and Mrs. Sarla Shah said that they were going to the temple of Rameshwaram in down south India. So they invited me and I said, why not? I'm not going to a pub, I'm not going to a bar or a nightclub. I was going to Rameshwaram with none other than Indulal Shah and his wife. And I left with both of them. And moment I left Prashanti Nilayam, brothers and sisters, my father used to teach in the university there. Swami came on the portico and asked my father, where is son gone? So my father thought he was doing a great job by telling him that he's gone to Rameshwaram to pay obeisance. Swami said, Swami is gone to Rameshwaram with Indulal Shah and his wife. My God, the way he lambasted the next second. One massive statement he made. Why did he go there? What is there that is not here in Prashanti Nilayam? Now you see, this is a very dangerous statement God has made. Why did I go to Rameshwaram when the Lord and Master is in Prashanti Nilayam? Why would I go to Rameshwaram? It didn't strike me, it didn't understand. I didn't understand this at all. Again, for another 5 years, not speaking to me, and I was in the cold box for 5 years. And after 5 years, in an interview in Tri Vrindavan in Bangalore, Swami called Kamla and I, and that time Kamla was a little unwell. We went there inside. Swami closed the door, and as he turned around, he continued the conversation 5 years ago. So, you had gone to Rameshwaram with Sarla and Indubai, isn't it? Imagine after 5 years, the same conversation continued. I said, Swami, I still don't know what I did wrong. Swami, please forgive me. He said, no. You are going to be talking about Bhagavad and EHV for the rest of your life as a mission. And when you don't believe that Lord resides inside your heart, and if you're going to go left, right, center, visiting so many places, then how will you convince people that the Lord resides inside your heart? At this phase, I want to pause and clarify. It was not that Bhagwan didn't want you to go to temples or Bhagwan didn't want you to go. Please go. Don't quote me that Bhagwan said don't go to temples. There is major chaos in the whole world. That's what I meant. Yes, you go to temples, you go to churches, you go everywhere. But remember one thing, that this is only a symbol. It's only a mark that must ultimately inspire us to believe that that power is inside our heart and not outside. If you're going to get stuck with statues, you're going to be stuck with rituals, you're going to get stuck. These are all good, great, potent paths that ultimately must lead in the conviction before I die and you die that God resides inside the heart, and that end purpose must not be forgotten. Is a lesson that Bhagwan taught at the end of that episode that happened to me. To encourage all of us to live life normally and happily. Unfortunately, I find in the Sai organization, there are so many rules and so many do's and so many don'ts. It's very difficult to survive in this environment, and I thoroughly disagree with it, and I want to say this on this stage. The world of Sai is a happiness state. The world of Sai is a happy place. The world of Sai is a smiling place, because Swami came to tell us that you are Satchit Ananda, you are bliss. Now nothing can validate anything that makes you unhappy. Nothing can validate anything that leaves you unhappy. Nothing can validate anything that does not let you enjoy the bliss of divinity, which is our birthright. Happiness is an important quotient. In the world of Sai, there has to be happiness. In the world of Sai, there must be smiling faces. And don't do culture doesn't work. The do this culture must work. What to do is what we must share, not what to don't do all the time. We are not here to judge people. We are not here to tell people that this man is right and that man is wrong. How can anyone judge anybody on the face of this earth? It is impossible to say this. The time has now come to accept the fact that we are all here to improve ourselves and not anybody else. We are incapable of improving anybody else. Because if you and I could improve people, then the mission of Sathya Sai Bhagwan on earth, Swami would not have to come down at all. In fact, we have not changed despite the avatar coming down. Despite listening to Swami's discourses thousands of times and millions of times, still it has not impacted us. It is only the vibration of Swami, it is only the love of Swami that has inspired us and changed the situation. The time has now come to sincerely put into practice to see God in everyone. And I'll give you an example for this from the Divine Master himself. In Prashant Nilayam, not only saints came, normal people came, robbers came, cheaters came, scamsters came, all kinds of people came to Prashant Nilayam. And in fact, some known scamsters, some known cheaters, they were in fact very, very closely sitting to Bhagwan also. I don't mind saying this, because who's there to judge who's right, who's wrong? In India, I remember, there were so many industrialists and politicians who used to come to Bhagwan, and Bhagwan used to spend time with them for hours. But the world knew that this man doesn't even deserve to be said hello to, and Bhagwan is giving him all the time in the world. Why? Because in the drishti of Bhagwan, in the vision of Bhagwan, there was no good, there was no bad. In the vision of Bhagwan, all were equal. And Bhagwan came on this earth with only one commitment, and that is to give unconditional love to anybody who came at any point of time. And that was the most important issue. I remember recently, Brother Sanjay Sahni was the director of the Whitefield campus of the Sathya Sai University, and I were directed to go to Oman because the government of Oman decided that they would introduce human values in all the schools of Oman. So that was the function, and we were supposed to attend. There was a lady Omani minister who was to be there, and we were invited, and we were the host of a very powerful man in the Middle East. He was very close to Bhagwan. Sanjay Sahni, having lived in the university and being a Sai student, was very, very simple. He used to wear white shirt, white pant, and used to wear chappals and go. Well, I am from Bombay, so the elitist jeans were there, so I used to wear my jacket and suit and shoes and go, while Sanjay was in white shirt, white pant, and he used to wear chappals and go. This host from Middle East, who was a very, very leading man, a multi-billionaire, who was the host, and was very close to Bhagwan, one day invited Sanjay and me, after we came back from Oman, to go to the Burj, the hotel, a very famous hotel in Dubai, for a high tea. When we went there for a high tea, Sanjay walked in with his chappals and his shirt and his white shirt and white pant. And this gentleman reprimanded Sanjay very badly. What do you mean you're coming in white shirt and chappals? You should at least wear shoes and come, and you should dress up properly and all that. Poor Sanjay was lost. He was so downtrodden that, gosh, what's wrong? What did I do? I'm wearing white shirt, white pant all my life, and why am I getting reprimanded for this? Then in the night we came back in the room, we had a discussion, and I want to share that discussion with you. So Nimish bhai, what a man, what an ego he has. But what money he has. He has a palace for a house, he's got billions of rupees, but what ego. And he lived with Bhagwan for so many years. So he was very worried. So I told Sanjay, this is the reason why Bhagwan is God. On the portico were not one, but hundreds of multi-billionaires used to come and sit there on the floor without a chair, where in their own homes they were kings and there were palaces in which they were living, and they didn't even utter one word. Here they could not tolerate your chappal, there they were tolerating hours of sitting on the floor despite being multi-million. Only God can make these people sit on the floor there, and nobody else can make them sit down there. This is the power of Sai. He came to transform each one of us, and that was the situation that we had to learn. Swami fulfills every desire. Swami fulfills every wish. He has just come to give and give. I remember his last visit to Mumbai just a year and a half before he decided to drop his mortal coil. There was a time when Swami's health was very frail and Swami had no physical strength. But answering the prayers of the city of Mumbai, he decided he will come to Mumbai. And you know what it is, the office bearers, the so-called, the council that surrounds him that time, Suresh, the council that surrounds him that time, were self-deluded that it's because of them that everything is happening. And they are monitoring Swami's health, Swami's movement and everything. So the moment the plan and program Bombay was made, it was a very hectic plan. It was like a time when Swami had a perfect nightlife in Mumbai. Because he came home at around 11 o'clock in the night and gave interview to Ratan Tata, the head of Tata Honcho that day, at 11 o'clock in the night. So he was having a lovely late night in Mumbai. But all this was, the council was very upset with our organizing team in Mumbai. How dare you trouble Swami so much with this ill health, and how can you make such a tight program? So we were being reprimanded and blasted left, right and center all the 3 days at Baba was Mumbai. And then at the end of the visit, I with my team, we went on the same flight with Swami to drop Swami back in Puttaparthi, and we were waiting for Swami's instructions to leave back. Now, we heard in the 2 days that we were waiting that inside in the Yajur Mandir, every day there was a discussion and lambasting going on for Mumbai guys. This Mumbai mafia doesn't understand. They don't care for Swami's health. They planned such a tough program for Swami. And then, so we heard all this, but then we were waiting for Swami to come out. So on the day we were leaving, Swami came out slowly in the chair in the portico, came straight to me and picked on me very typically. So, Nimish Samachar. I said, Swami, I hope you enjoyed the trip to Mumbai. No. Very stiff program. Too much tight program. Too much tight program. Very tiring, very tiring. Swami picked up. Echoing what is happening everywhere. I said, Swami, I'm sorry we troubled you, but Swami, no, very tight program. Very tight program. So again I tried to pick conversation, Swami. Swami, I was trying to cook up some explanation. But Swami, you came after such a long time. No, very tight program. Very tight program. But Swami, all in Bombay were very happy that you came. No, very tight program, very tight program. But Swami, not our fault. You came after 7, 8, 9 years you came to Mumbai and everybody was thrilled. All of us were very happy that you came. You know what Swami replied immediately? Acha, you are happy? If you are happy, I am also happy. He said, Tum khush, to main bhi khush. This is the master. This is the divine plan. For him, health was not. He was waiting to give us happiness. He was waiting to express to him that his visit was bliss for us and we were very happy. Everything was forgotten. He didn't care for anything that anybody said. And he only had to say, if you are happy, I am happy. I want to say it on this stage, brothers and sisters. It is our bounden duty to be happy and at peace at all times. It is only our happiness and peace that is the true gratitude for all the love that Bhagwan came and gave to us on the face of this earth. If you and I are going to decide to be unhappy, to be morose, to be sad, then we are not paying gratitude to Bhagwan. It's something that we need to understand and understand very, very well and very, very fast. Bhagwan grants everything, as I said. The story which my young brother heard yesterday was a story of my life also. When I wanted to become a part of the creative art fraternity and lead my career onto the stage and to acting, my father was a great lawyer and wanted me to be a lawyer. Look how Bhagwan balances two things. Look, the great arbitrator that he is, the great arbiter. What lovingly he does everything for mankind is something that you see. I learned the art of arbitration from Bhagwan from this incident in my life. How he could balance two totally contradictory views so beautifully and blend into one is the saga which I need to narrate to you right now. I wanted to be a star, I wanted to be an actor, and here was my father insisting that I should become a lawyer. He called me and said, look, your father wants you to become a lawyer and please pay focus on that. I said, Swami, I don't want to become a lawyer. And I tried all kinds of excuses to argue with Bhagwan that I shouldn't become a lawyer. And he said, every argument fell flat because when I told him that Swami, it's a very boring thing and I don't understand law, he said, don't worry, I will make it interesting for you. Then I thought I'm going to act one smart on Swami and say, Swami, you said that lawyers are liars and lying is not a good thing. He said, don't worry, I will ensure that you don't have to lie. Then I said, no Swami, you said that lawyers are the cause of all the trouble in modern world, and 7 generations prior and 7 generations next will go to hell of every lawyer on the face of this earth. That's what you said. He said, don't worry, I will take care of your 7 generations up and 7 generations down. You won't be in trouble. So everything that I tried fell flat and I couldn't really get through the whole focus there. Then I said, Swami, it's very boring. I'm studying. I can't remember. I'm read, but I don't remember. He said, don't worry. You read. I will remember for you. Brothers and sisters, to cut this long story short, the examination came. And why I pay tribute to women is what I need to explain just now. The examination came and all the other subjects were known to me, but my specialization in criminology was not known to me. And in my mind I was very happy that I am the only devotee on this entire cosmos who is going to ensure that Swami's words do not come out to be true. Because by the time he had promised my father that next year he'll become a lawyer and come. So I'm wondering what's wrong with the God. I said, he's God, he doesn't understand how the university functions. It's beyond his scope and jurisdiction, he doesn't understand that. So I said, Swami, what are you saying next year? I can't become a lawyer, I have to pass my exam, I have to fulfill my attendance, everything has to be done. He said, don't worry, he'll become a lawyer next year. I go for the examination because out of respect I have to go, and I don't know anything in the question paper, and the question paper comes, I keep it quiet. I'm deciding what is the appropriate time to get out of the examination hall very quietly when everybody else is engrossed in writing. And after that moment, suddenly something happens and I turn the paper and I see a lot of questions there, brothers and sisters. A lot of questions on why there is an increase in delinquency amongst women and children was a part of the majority of the questions there. I didn't know the law, nor do I know the subject. But having listened to Bhagwan very carefully, a discourse of Bhagwan came to my rescue. And that discourse of Bhagwan was on society. Where how the Indian society has survived, Indian culture has survived for millions of years because the unit of society in India was a family. And in the family, the fulcrum, the focus was our sisters, who performed so many different roles. Our sisters as a mother, as a sister, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, all the different roles that a woman performs in a family and keeps the family bound together. It is in this family that children are protected, women are protected, and even you and I as men are protected because women control us, and that's a fact, isn't it? So that's what they did. So we are all safe in a family as a unit. But the moment this unit breaks, they all become vulnerable and they face crime. I wrote this discourse to Swami as an answer to my question. Brothers and sisters, I passed and I became a lawyer that year. I got my certificate. And when I went to Puttaparthi, Swami called me and says, see, you didn't study, still I remembered for you. The first contract, the first lesson in the law of contract, proposal and acceptance. Swami proposed that you read and I will remember, and I said, okay Swami. So that was the contract that Bhagwan fulfilled, but I could not fulfill that contract for Bhagwan. But I became a lawyer to please my father, but what about my yearning to become an actor and a dramatist? And that's where, brothers and sisters, for the last 30 years before Swami left his bottle coil, it was his immense grace and his sheer love for all of us that he gave us an opportunity to perform before Bhagwan twice every year for 30 years, that we could do all kinds of dramas and dances before Bhagwan to fulfill this one desire of this lonely man that I wanted to become an actor and star. This is the beauty and the love of Bhagwan. And this is not my story, brothers and sisters. I tell everyone, in the times immemorial past, there was one Ramayana and one Mahabharata. But now there is not one Ramayana and one Mahabharata. Each one of us, the story of our life and our association with Bhagwan is not less than a Ramayana or not less than a Mahabharata. There are millions and millions of Ramayana and Mahabharata which Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba has come on earth and created for each one of us. Bhagwan's greatest glory, greatest beauty is that he came to each one of us and made us believe that his avatar is only for you and for nobody else. His avatar is only for me and nobody else. I mean, such is the bond of love that Lord came and gave it to us and created that aura, that experience for each one of us. Had it not been for that experience, nothing will happen. But the most important thing, what does he expect out of us? What does he really want that we should do? And that's where I have a few points to make before this August gathering, because we need to discuss this. What is that one thing that Bhagwan came for? And I read a beautiful thing. All education ultimately merges into spiritual education. The root cause for trouble in 21st century in the world of today, whether it is Gaza, whether it is Iraq, whether it is Malaysia, whether it is India, whether it is America, anything, or interpersonal relationships that we have in the world today, the issues between husband and wife, between society, between members of family, all strive, all emerge from only one symptom, and that is lack of unconditional love. As a lawyer, you ask me, in my professional life, and I'm sure many of you in your professional life, when you deal with people, you realize that the problem is only lack of love. And only imparting love, promoting love, fusing love into people's lives can cure every problem. It is a panacea, it is a magic wand that Bhagavan gave us of unconditional love. But the problem is we can't love unconditionally. Because love is a commodity today. If you do something for me, I do something for you. It's even prevalent in the SAI organization. We may not be guilty of acts of commission, but we are definitely guilty of acts of omission, and which is worst. You may not hate somebody, but you don't love also, so that's worst. Not hating is not enough. You must love also. That is the added dimension. But that's where many of us fail in our own unconditional love. To a person whom you know, it may be wrong in from your perception, maybe bad from your perception, but to such a person also, the duty is only one, and that is to love unconditionally. This is the problem with the world today. And what did Bhagavan do? Came on the face of this earth, spent 85 years doing only one thing. One-to-one personal relationship, and the only treatment was unconditional love for each one of us at all times. He never failed in this one duty. And that's all that he wanted us to do. Love. Love is the solution. And I tell you, why Malaysia is succeeding today is, through all your activities, you convince the society in Malaysia that there is one community which can love unconditionally, irrespective of caste, color, creed and religion. And that's why you are succeeding, and that's your strong point. The unconditional love. If you had to make a bargain with the government of Malaysia or the society of Malaysia, you would have succeeded. It is people like Brother Jaga who started the whole domain and continued by all, Billy and Suresh and all of them, all of you guys continuing today, is the ability to love unconditionally. And that's what not only must happen in society, but interpersonal relationship in the organization. The more we love each other unconditionally, the more our strength to become ideal examples for the world. Because today people don't believe love exists. People don't believe that truth can work. You ask anybody in society, they'll laugh at you if you talk of love and truth. Because only talking is not enough, you have to show it in action. And when you show in action unconditional love, there is no way people cannot but fall in love with you and accept what you are saying. And that's how the glory of Swami will grow. In every regional center, in every district center, in every center which is happening, whether it's a small center or a big center, the hallmark is the ability of those 50, 100 people to love unconditionally and become examples to the society around them that yes, unconditional love in the 21st century today, beyond the power of money, beyond the power of greed, can exist. And here are a flock of people who can love unconditionally is a situation that we need to accept and go further. That is the hallmark that I wish that the whole country, I mean, this is the need of the hour for the entire world which believes in Sathya Sai Baba, and the saga of love that he has given to us is very, very important. But brothers and sisters, love is a very dangerous word. Because we say unconditional love. But I always had this question, Swami, how do you love unconditionally? Because definitely, if I don't like, if Billy says something to me, then surely I can't love Billy the next moment. You see, because I say, no, let's keep away from Billy. I may be a good man, so I may not fight with him, but I'll definitely keep away from Billy. But which is wrong also. Because I must still love Billy, but I'm not able to love Billy, so how do I do this? And here's where I'd like to share with you one fact which I think, in my personal opinion, I'm just placing it before you, is worth practicing, which Bhagavan has said. And that story is, two things to forget in life, brothers and sisters. I asked Bhagavan. And this was reiterated by a very young, visually handicapped friend of mine who was with me in the first EHV batch where we were trained by Bhagavan. I remember a young Parsi boy who was visually challenged, and he used to be a barber. And when we asked Bhagavan, he was there. Then Swami, how do we love? Then Swami says, you don't have to make an attempt to love. You are love. There's nothing to learn how to love. There's nothing to acquire how to love. You are love. But what blocks that love from coming out? To ensure that the love comes out uninterrupted, unblocked in the manner, so to say, what should you do? And Swami says, do two things as personal sadhana. Two things to forget. One, forget all the harm that others have done to you immediately. Now this is very difficult, brothers and sisters, isn't it? Very difficult to practice in day-to-day life. You may be sitting in thousands of hours of bhajans, but to forget immediately a harm that is caused to you by somebody else is not easy. Very difficult. Second thing to forget all the good that you've done to others immediately. This is equally difficult. If I do a favor to Billy Fong, brother, and if I don't tell to somebody else that I've done this favor to Billy Fong, I'm not a happy man. I have to tell somebody, you see. And this problem is more with our sisters than us. You have to say, I did this one. Sorry, but that's how I'm just joking. But that's a problem with human life. If I've done a good deed to Jaga, I want to remind Jaga all the time, Jaga, I did this for you, Jaga, I did this for you. What happens? In not forgetting these two things, what has happened? We have blocked our mind with all these thoughts and all the time, and every second of happiness that is emanating from the system is not available to us to live blissfully. I want to fortify these things by two references, one to Bhagwan and one to Indulal Shah. First I will take Indulal Shah. When I was a young man, I got the privilege of working with Indulal Shah in the Sai organization. He was a great practitioner of these things to forget. Forget all the harm that others have done to you immediately. Forget all the good that you have done to others immediately. Keep yourself free to enjoy the bliss of life every moment. As the old English adage goes, brothers and sisters, they say, no, jump at every opportunity that comes your way. So this was told by a teacher to the student, jump at every opportunity that you get. And then suddenly the teacher finds that the child is jumping all the time, keeping on jumping. So teacher, why are you jumping? He says, teacher, you said jump at every opportunity. I don't know when the opportunity will come, so I want to keep on jumping so that I don't miss any opportunity. With God also is like that. Bliss is like that. Any moment the flash can come and you have to be ready, you have to keep on jumping all the time. And therefore you must keep on offloading your baggage all the time and keep your mind and heart pure all the time. So that you don't have a problem when God wants to talk to you. Whenever we did a program with Brother Indulal Shah, moment the function gets over, he would not even give us 1 second even to sit together and say, oh God, thank God everything went very well. Huh? You see, we are all hypocrites. Now, everybody in the heart knows that he wants praise for the work that he has done, but from the mouth he says, all Swami's grace, huh? Swami's grace, Swami's grace. Nobody believes Swami's grace. In the heart you know you want somebody to praise you all the time. That don't know, without you this would have not happened. That's the melody that we all suffer from. But he would not allow you to even talk of that function the next moment. He would say, okay, what next? What's the next program? And I tell you, at 95 today, he still calls me every day in the afternoon in the middle of my court work and calls me and says, how are you? I'm fine. What are we doing for Swami today? What new work we are doing for Swami today? That is Indulal Shah at 96 years today. The doyen that he must understand to understand Swami. The second thing was Swami taught us about forgetting. It's a personal story of my father who's no more, and God bless his soul. My father was a very intelligent man, a very man with great memory, great acumen, and a fantastic lawyer. And I must confess that I regret for many days that I didn't listen to him and didn't adhere to what he told me. And for that I'll never be sorry, and I'll be apologizing to the Lord Master for having lost that opportunity to learn from him what I should have learned long ago. Swami called Dad in the ashram. He was a very established in a thumping practice. One day he came to our house in Mumbai. Swami visited us in our home in Mumbai. With great compassion he came home and told my father, leave everything. Because he knew unless there is some burden on me, I'll never learn. He said, leave everything to your son and come with me to the ashram. And great credit and kudos to my father. In the top of his career, the next moment he left his practice and immediately left for Prashantilam. He had a very blissful life in Prashantilam, and one day he was sitting on the portico and Swami came out in a very relaxed mood and told my father, Pandya, what do you want? Now my father doesn't need anything, he has everything in life, he's a very happy man, doesn't require anything. But being a lawyer, being a rational, he said, let me try and ask something, God, for something special. So he thought he was going to impress Bhagwan. And he said, yes, Swami, give me moksha. The Swami said, yes, come in the interview room, I'll give you moksha. Come on, let's go. Now I tell you, if Swami has to come and tell you and me, come, I'm giving you moksha right now, none of us will accept his offer. All will run away from that because you got so much, Swami, my son's wedding, my daughter's wedding, my business. Nobody wants moksha immediately. Though everybody says you must get moksha, but nobody wants it immediately. So Swami took my father inside the interview room and said, okay, what is your name? So now I tell you, my father's memory is very good. So you can imagine, every question that Bhagwan is asking, he has an answer for everything. And there is a great repartee going on between God and the Bhakta. And Swami is asking one question, he's answering, and it went on. What's your name, where are you living, what's your son's name, what's your wife's name, what's your father's name, what's your mother-in-law's name, when did you study, which college, where were you born, what is happening? And Swami is asking questions, and my father is answering 100 questions, 200 questions, like a table tennis, like a tennis match, the rally is going on, like a repartee perfect going on. As like the music reads the crescendo, this question answer session reaches the crescendo, 200 questions, 300 questions, 400 questions. At the end of 400 questions, nearly 400 questions, Swami got up from the chair and said, my God, if you remember so much, how can you get moksha? In Hindi he said, itna yaad hai to moksha kaise milega? Forget all the harm that others have done to you immediately. Forget all the good that you've done for others immediately. And that is the way to be able to love unconditionally. But how will this ability to forget come, brothers and sisters? And that's where I salute the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization created by Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. There is no other organization on the face of this earth like the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization created by Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai. It is the best organization in the world. Why? Because it is this organization that has the wherewithal and the infrastructure to come together and teach all of us the art of forgetting, the art of surrendering, the art of not taking doership, the art of ensuring that we can become masters of our minds. Because unless we quieten the mind, the voice of God from inside can never come. And the goal of the Sai organization is that at the end of all activities that we do and everything that we do, ultimately we should be able to quieten our mind and inspire and be available to the inspiration that comes from within as a part of day-to-day life. Allow the friend inside to talk to you. Listen to the friend inside too when he talks to you and follow him. That is the situation that we are looking for at the end of the day. The 5 human values, brothers and sisters, is not a subject of education. And I beg pardon with all educationalists sitting here today. Please do not make human values as a subject. Please do not do any research on human values. Please do not make it a topic of discussion. It cannot be, because it is a matter of experience and not a matter of debate or subject. Because Bhagwan always wanted that human values is nothing but humanity. Human values is nothing but divinity itself. And divinity is to be expressed. Divinity is to be experienced. Divinity is to be practiced and not to be debated and spoken about at any point of time. Bhagwan beautifully said, if there is truth, if there is love as thought is truth, love as action is dharma, and love as an experience is peace, love as an understanding is non-violence. This was a great quotation which I never understood, brothers and sisters. I never understood till such time as after 12 years of great movement of EHP in India, when we conquered the governments and everybody was at the lotus feet, willing to grasp the whole human values program, with 25,000 teachers in India being trained, one day Bhagwan decided to stop the program completely. And he says, you don't understand human values, stop everything, I don't want anything. And we are all stunned. Imagine, after working so much and reaching this crescendo, even a man like Indulaj Shah was stunned. I remember he and I going away to a hill station just to sit quietly for 3 days to understand what went wrong where. We didn't get an answer. Bhagwan waited for nearly 6 months, absolute silence. He would not even touch the subject with Hindubai. For 6 months, there was a stunning silence in India. At the end of 6 months, Bhagwan called 100 of us in the mandir, sat down there very lovingly, very peacefully, and explained the entire concept of human values, dear brothers and sisters. And that's when he said that I am inside you. I am the seat of consciousness. I am the prerana inside you. It is I who speak to you from inside. Listen to me when I speak to you from inside. This is the source of love. This love as thought is truth. When I speak and you listen to me, it is truth. When I speak from inside and you listen to me, it's truth. When you listen to me from inside and put that into action, that is dharma. And when you form the habit of putting conscience into action all the time, then you will experience peace. Otherwise, you will never experience peace. And therefore, Sathya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa are not different subjects. They are an integral whole of a scheme that is breath. So hum. Such beautifully explained to Induvai and all of us that time. And we realized, what are we doing here? All that we need to do is to use the Sai organization, Bhajan movement, Nagar Sankirtan movement, study circle movement, and Seva. All these four things as a composite whole, used as a lifestyle to ensure that we can control our mind and inspire us to listen to the voice of conscience inside. It's the end goal of the Sai organization for each one of us, and that's where we should be headed, that Bhagwan wants. And Bhagwan explained beautifully by lovely examples that day, I remember. And he says, imagine I have a brother coming home. He proved it. And I loved it as a lawyer when he gave evidence of what he said. He proved it. He said, suppose the brother comes home and says, brother, I'm in desperate need. Give me $500. I want $500. And immediately the conscience says, give it. So your hand goes in your pocket, you take out $500 and you want to give it to the brother. But as you're about to take out the money and give the money to the brother, there's a voice that comes from behind and says, please wait, come inside, I want to talk to you. Whose voice is it? Can you guess? Can you guess whose voice it is? Can you guess? Whose? Why are you saying so meekly? Don't get scared. At least say this boldly. Don't get scared even like that. So I go inside to my wife and my wife tells me, look, you don't give it to him, you spoil his habit, let him go and work. Why doesn't he work? Why doesn't he do all these things? So now the mind is rationally thinking that I should not give this money. The conscience is telling me, go and give it. Who succeeds is the essence of spirituality. Scene one. Since I'm a dramatist, I should give you two axes. Scene one. I listen to my wife and I don't give money to my common brother. I'm sorry, I don't have money, tomorrow go. The brother goes away. At night what happens? The wife who told me not to give money is sleeping peacefully on the bed. But I, who did not give money to my brother, listen to my conscience, I'm tossing in the bed, my conscience telling me, you should have given it, you should have given it, you should have given it. No peace, brothers and sisters. Take scene two. Wife tells you don't give it. But you quietly come in, brother, take this money and go fast from here, get out. What happens at night? The wife is grumbling the whole night. But you have not heard a word because the moment you hit the bed, you are fast asleep and you have not listened to anything because you are at peace. Peace is only the result of putting conscience into action. And Bhagwan Sri Sat Sai Baba is the seat of that conscience. He is prompting you all the time. Imagine a situation, you have a great weakness for food and you fall sick after overeating. And you go to Bhagwan and Prashant and Bhagwan doesn't speak to you. And you come out grumbling, I'm so sick, I'm so devoted to Bhagwan. I attended 100 bhajan centers, I went to Bhagwan, but Bhagwan didn't even tell me and cure me, didn't give me vibhuti because he was despite I'm sick. Bhagwan must be smiling in his mind, you idiot. When you were eating those 100 bondas, I was telling you from inside, don't eat, don't eat, don't eat. That time you told me, shut up. And now in Prashant you want to come and tell me that I should speak to you. Why should I speak to you? Tell me. This dichotomy is a great event which we need to understand, brothers and sisters. Simple things. The beauty of Bhagwan lies in the simplicity of things. Brothers and sisters, we made life complicated before Bhagwan came. Everything was made complicated. Bhagwan came down to make things simple. And he gave us simple things. For heaven's sake, let us be careful of not making those simple things complicated again by our intelligence and so-called situation. Let's keep life in the world of Sai, in the Satya Sai organization, as simple as we can. And that is the glory that we must maintain. Simplicity is the way of life. Simple things. Practice. When Bhagwan was once asked, what is human values? And there is a lovely video on that going on everywhere. And Bhagwan says, human values is nothing but practice, practice, practice. Now we are all preachers like me standing here today. But practice is something which nobody will evaluate you. It is you who have to evaluate yourself on this issue and make a decision whether you are really in sync with your conscience or not. in due tribute to Kamala, I must tell you very frankly, and I am telling all this to my gent sitting here. If you really want to understand Swami's grace and Swami's glory, I would urge and I would request Brother Suresh, if he thinks it, he deems it appropriate, make every office bearer sit at least in one Bal Vikas class full time as a student in front of the teachers who are conducting the Bal Vikas class. You sit through this experience, brothers and sisters, and I'll tell you how divinity works is something that nobody else can teach you better than our sisters conducting the Bal Vikas class. I would really wish that each one of you sit in the Bal Vikas class. I say this from experience because I have sat the Bal Vikas class in my house on a Saturday, which Kamala conducts, and like that so many gurus conduct. But when I'm early from office, I sit like Eklavya behind and sit down and listen to the class. And those are the moments when I cry. Those are the moments when I learn. Those are the moments when I get inspired in life that this is where Bhagwan's work is going on. It's a must. That's when I realize how practice is important. How simple day-to-day habit formation can change the life. Transformation is the subject of today's convention. But this transformation can come only when you form habits. You must form strong habits to practice a lifestyle which Bhagwan gave us. A convention can only tell us what to do. But when we leave the convention, that's the time when our work begins, and that's the time when we need to ensure that we remember to change our lifestyle and be a different person. It was something which I love, and I would wish that we should be able to understand the situation. Bhagwan is a very tough taskmaster, but he's a very loving God also. He forgives you for everything that you do. He forgives you for everything because his goal is not to punish man. His goal is to inspire man. If that is the case, let me address the question that the Sai organization faces all over the world. It happens now that the physical form not being there, people are worried how will the organization grow? Why new members are not coming in? Why new devotees are not coming in is a question that is being asked throughout the world. The answer is simple. The problem lies with you and I. It doesn't lie with the Sai movement. It doesn't lie with anybody else. The problem lies with only you and I. Because why would people come to us? People will come to us if they see you as happy people, if they see you as blissful people, as see you that has the ability to live merrily, happily and collectively in unity in the face of all the adversities of life. The numbers in the Sai organization will only increase by inspiration of personal example of each one of us. It is not going to increase by the work that we do, by the advertisements that we have. It's not going to increase with that. But when heart to heart, when you touch people's heart, that's how it goes. I was very impressed in Prashant Nilam when the Educare conference was going on last year. And when I was listening to the gentleman talking of the Chinese experiment, where human values have been embedded in a particular province of China. And he said what, it was one man who was not a Baba devotee, but who got inspired by his child going to an EHV class, and when he saw the transformation in the child inspired the father, and the father got inspired with his inspiration, an entire movement began in China through and through. It was not through any books, not through any literature, not through any discourses, not because of any Nimish Pandya who went there and gave a lecture, but by a simple child in an SSEHV class who inspired the entire movement in China. Inspiration is the only source of increasing numbers inside of that. Walking, talking in every part of Malaysia, walking, talking in every part of India, unless you and I as devotees reflect that love, reflect that glory of Swami in our personal lives, at least smile. Even if you don't at least learn, people don't know how to smile in the world today. They are laughing hypocritically. But there is no genuine smile in the face of people. There is no loving smile. Now that's where we come. And that will all come through our activities. Therefore, let us inspire people to participate in the organizational activities as a package deal. Let's not increase the ego of the bhajan singer by letting him do bhajan alone. Let's not increase the ego of the serviceman who is doing service alone. Service without spirituality is useless. Spirituality without service is useless. And both are a package deal that the Sai organization must deal with. And that's what Swami wanted. Spiritual seva, not seva alone. Because seva alone has a great danger. The snake of 99 in the snakes and ladders game is a dangerous thing. You can hop, skip and jump up to 98. But at 98, before you jump on to 100, the snake of 99 is the worst. And I tell you, the spiritual ego is the worst ego of all egos in the world. that can destroy you completely. And I like to say this to all bhajan singers who are sitting here. I don't know whether they are sitting here or they're gone. But I tell you, the greatest difficulty with bhajan singers is that their spiritual ego is so high that they forget that they are singing for the love of Swami and for those 100 sitting behind, for them to follow you and not otherwise. And that's something which is important. Bhajan is a great movement. Spirituality, in fact, I would urge, and I'm sure Brother Jaga will guide me further if he has to, is that fundamentally, it is the spiritual base of each individual that needs enhancement. And the moment that gets enhanced, then you can even jump. Hanuman could jump the entire ocean and make a bridge over Lanka to go and Sita. Why? Not because he was strong, but because he was devoted and spiritually strong. And therefore, it's not the physical strength, it is the spiritual strength that made him jump across Lanka and get him through. Is the dimensions that we are in. So all of us sitting here today, if we like Hanuman have to jump and create that bridge between ourselves and the mankind which is devoid of Bhagwan's love, this bridge is going to come with the strength of spirituality, the strength of great practice that we imbibe in ourselves, and that's where the glory goes. I must end with two things. We must today in this convention understand the essential meaning of devotion. Devotion to Bhagwan does not mean carrying his photograph in his pocket. Devotion to Bhagwan does not mean the track record that you have of service activities. Devotion to Bhagwan does not mean how many times you attended bhajan centers and how many times you bow down to Bhagwan's statue or photograph, nor how many times you've been to Prashanti Nilayam. None of these are any indicators of devotion to Bhagwan. Bhagwan has categorically said, and I've heard this, I've had the privilege of hearing this from his own mouth. The hallmark of devotion to Bhagwan is that ability in you and I today to be at peace in our personal lives, both in the face of joy and sorrow at all times, brothers and sisters. If you want to know who a true devotee is, you'll come to know how he behaves in the face of joy and sorrow. When he remains peaceful and contented, even in the midst of both these situations, that is the hallmark of a devotee. And who essentially is a devotee? What is the definition of a person who is a devotee? How would I know if I am walking on the streets of Malaysia whether this person is a devotee or not a devotee? There has to be some indicators. And those indicators, brothers and sisters, are very clear. The walking, talking, loving human being is the indicator of that real devotee. Like Bhagwan, when he walked on the face of this earth, every time he looked at you, from his eyes poured love. Every time he opened his mouth, it was sweetness of the essence of pure nectar. And all this is the hallmark of a true devotee. Imagine a devotee who gets angry and shoots his mouth. Imagine a devotee who is upset at the smallest thing. Imagine an office bearer who can't maintain his calm and balance. Imagine a sister who is completely haywire in the house. If there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in character. If there is beauty in character, there is harmony in the whole. And here's where I want to pause for all of us working together in the world of Sathya. We cannot ignore our homes and step out in the society to serve. We have the ability to inspire our own family members first. Imagine an office bearer whose son does not go to Bal Vikas and he's stepping out and telling the whole world, send your children to Bal Vikas. Imagine an office bearer whose own family doesn't sit for bhajans and he goes out and tells the whole world, let's go for bhajans. It doesn't work that way, brothers and sisters. We must first set our homes right. We must first set our own people right, inspire our own people, and then only we have a right to go out in the world and tell them what they need to do. Bhagwan came on the face of this earth to show us our true colors, to show us our true ability to what is happening. Bhagwan's famous story, a lovely story that Bhagwan used to say, was the story of the lioness, with which I wish to end. And I love this story because I repeat it everywhere in the world that I go, because that is the strategy which each one of us has to follow in life, and which Bhagwan followed in this life. Bhagwan came on the face of this earth. Imagine what he is. Thousands of thrones of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh and Maha. Thousands of thrones, at the end of it is the master power of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Baba, and he comes into your life and my life and inspires us to do what we have to do. Why did he have to come on the face of this earth? Because of this story. There was this lioness who was hungry and she was pregnant. The hungry lioness perched on a hillock, looks down on the food and she's desperately looking for food. As she perches on the hillock, she sees a flock of sheep down there. Naturally, she's a flock of sheep. She's so hungry that she does not, no discrimination used. She just leaps from the hillock onto the flock of sheep in an attempt to catch the sheep so that she can get her prey for the day. But what happens? Lo and behold, as the lioness jumps on the sheep, the impact is so much that the lioness delivers the baby cub and the lioness dies out of the impact. What has happened? The baby cub is born. The baby cub opens her eyes for the first time, and what does it see in front of it? A flock of sheep. So the baby lion believes that I'm like the sheep. And as the sheep see the baby lion, they get scared and they run. And as they run, the baby lion believes that she also has to run. So he also runs after the sheep. They run, they fall hungry. And as they fall hungry, the sheep start eating grass. So the baby lion believes that he also has to eat grass. The baby lion starts eating grass. And after eating grass, when the hunger is satisfied, everybody settles down and the sheep start talking and they start bleating. So the baby lion believes that I also have to bleat, and therefore the baby lion also starts bleating. This continues for a few months in the forest. And one day the big lion comes. And what does he see? A young lion in the midst of a flock of sheep, behaving like sheep. The young lion cannot tolerate this anymore. The young lion charges after the sheep in an attempt to separate the whole baby cub who's there, the baby lion there. Charges, all run, the baby lion also runs. But somehow the big lion conquers and captures the baby lion. Pulls it apart from the flock, takes it to a riverbed, puts his head on the river, and for the first time the baby cub realizes that I look different from the sheep, I don't look like him. He looks in the water, the big lion puts his face in the water. The little lion sees up and goes, oh gosh, I look like this big lion. And then the big lion roars loudly. So the baby lion tries to roar. But what happens? A bleat comes out of his mouth. Why? Because it is habituated to bleat. The big lion doesn't give up. Roars second time, roars third time, roars fourth time. On the seventh and the eighth time, when the big lion roars and makes him practice, for the first time, the baby lion roars like a lion and realizes that I am not a sheep, but I am a lion myself. Brothers and sisters, Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba, recognizing that all of us living like sheep on the face of this earth, didn't want that. He knew we are his reflection of divinity. He knew that we are the reflection, the power of divinity. He had to come down like the big lion who came in the forest. He had to catch each one of us individually, take us to the whole riverbed of human values, of spirituality, and show us our real reflection what we are. He behaved like God. He wanted us to behave like God, but we are not habituated. We don't have the practice or the habit of behaving like God. And therefore, he kept on ensuring that we practice. And that practice, the river was the river of the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization, in which we will know our real reflection, our real method of what we are. And 85 years he spent with us, hoping that now we have become lions and we realize that we are not sheep. This convention at the end of the day must give homework to all of us to realize whether we are still sheep or we are still lions. With these few words, I am extremely grateful for you for a very patient hearing, and I only pray to Bhagavan to give us all of us strength to continue further. Jai Sai Ram.